So about a year ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger made a comment that he thinks bodybuilding, professional bodybuilding going forward should be drug tested for steroids. It created a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of people are against it. Some are for it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I find it. I mean, you have to look at Arnold's position. He's a political person. He's somebody who has a lot of influence. So he does have to be very careful in his, in what he says and what he claims. I mean, bodybuilding. I decided not to compete after WrestleMania anymore because I didn't like where bodybuilding was going in terms of how big it was getting and how, I really missed the classical look. And now that 2-3 years ago they brought the classic physique category, now I've decided to compete again because I like it for myself. I'm not looking to gain anything from doing it except a challenge to myself. But the fact is that in bodybuilding, the use of performance enhancing drugs, it's like a soccer player having the best shoes. If the soccer player goes on the field without his shoes on, he's not gonna win. So, do I think that bodybuilding could ever, be fully natural? I mean, yeah, of course, but you're not going to see the amazing effect that the human body can have if it's carefully under a lot of supervision, safely enhanced in that way. So what do I think about his statement? Like I said, you have to understand his position, and I do understand it. But he used anabolic steroids in order to create the physique that got him to where he is now. So I think it's a little bit difficult to make a very hard statement on that, considering his position back then and considering his position now.
Right. Do you think the problem here is that most, especially amateur, like as you're climbing up the ranks, you're not going to have supervision and really the right way of taking it, because obviously the dosages are much higher than any doctor would ever prescribe to you. No doctor would ever. I mean, talking to doctors, no doctor would be able to legally supervise something like that. I mean, so from that perspective, don't you think it becomes a situation where so many people can get hurt on a journey to get into that level when you can actually have that supervision and pay somebody to actually supervise you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's. I mean, for me, the moment that kind of really made me troubled about 2 years ago was when I watched the documentary Icarus. I don't know if you've heard of this documentary. It's the story about how Russia created this incredibly elaborate plan to have all their athletes completely on performance-enhancing drugs, not only up until the Sochi Olympics, but during the Sochi Olympics. And as a soccer player at the professional youth levels, I was seeing things from other athletes where I thought, how is it possible that they recover so quickly, or that they do what they do? And there has come a point in the last couple of years where I really said to myself, sports, unfortunately, the only way you will ever really get it fair is if you allow everything, because there's always going to be somebody that can do it under supervision, that has the the resources to do that, but maybe somebody with a lot more talent doesn't. So are you really seeing the best of the human potential in that sport? It's a very controversial thing. I mean, like I said, I only like to speak about it with somebody who has a certain level of experience. And of course, I have my own perspectives and I have my own doubts and controversies. But I mean, there's a lot of information online, and if somebody is going to take the risk with their own body, they're going to take the risk with their own body. But that's part of when you're training 7 days a week intensely, and you're putting your body through risks as well. Not chemical risks, but other kinds of risks. So I think it's part of the overall picture is how fair do you want to make sports in general. And for anybody who's watching, watch the documentary Icarus, you'll be quite shocked. They highlight the Olympics. We speak about bodybuilding, but it's not just in bodybuilding. It's really everywhere. So the question is, how do you make it fair?